What's good, Internet? My name is Attack Slug, and it is that time of the week once again to talk about Monday Night Raw for the week of April the 18th, 2016. We started off the show with the Ambrose Asylum, continuing that. Whoa, ref ass! Continuing that gimmick from last week of the Ambrose Asylum. I really appreciate the throw rug kind of ties it all together, and the weird plant that he's very protective of is amusing. So his guest is Shane, and Shane is still running Raw because that makes sense, even though he lost to The Undertaker. And here we are 3 weeks after Mania, and we're still running Raw. Like, we're just supposed to forget that happened? We're supposed to just not consider that to be important? Like, I don't... Whatever. I've complained about that the past 2 weeks. You get a bit with Ambrose and Shane, and then out comes Kevin Owens, who is like, you know what? Shit ain't different. Nothing's different here. There's still a McMahon, in power, who is delusional and whatever else, and, making a very good heel point there. But then out comes Sami Zayn, and then out comes Chris Jericho, and then Shane, showing some amount of, self-awareness, is like, you know what? This is probably going to get violent, so I'm just going to leave. And Ambrose hands him the plant, and that was funny. Unfortunately, Teddy Long no longer employed, so he can't come out and be like, now hold on a minute, player. Gonna have ourselves a tag team match. Holla holla. That didn't happen. So, basically, the faces punch the heels, and we set up 2 matches for Payback, which is Owens versus Zayn, and Jericho versus Ambrose, and tonight, the opposite will be fighting the opposite of those, but obviously still heel and face. I bet next week it'll be a tag team match, player, in the main event, most likely. I wouldn't be surprised. Or, on SmackDown? I don't know. I didn't read the SmackDown spoilers, so I don't actually know. Anyway, speaking of which, our first match is Sami Zayn versus Chris Jericho, which was apparently announced on Facebook during the commercial. And I'm like, who the fuck cares? Seriously, that is like probably one of the dumbest things I've heard in a long time. Hey, we announced it on Facebook during the commercial. You should totally go to our Facebook. Like, no. I'm usually on Twitter, but no. Did Dean Ambrose just bulldog the referee? I was gonna have a sip of tea here, but I just, out of the corner of my eye, what the fuck even was that? Now I'm very confused. Chris Jericho's been doing this one-legged code breaker, which has been weird. Like, I don't know that that's kind of a mandate from the front office to do that, but he's been doing that, and it just, to me, it seems lazy. Maybe he's just getting old. I don't know. But he's been doing these one-legged code breakers. I'm like, no, 2 legs for the code breaker. That's the whole point of that move. Anyway, we get a backstage segment with AJ Styles and, Gallows and Anderson, guys who are all in the Bullet Club, but we can't say Bullet Club because we don't own the rights to Bullet Club. But hey, they were in the Bullet Club. Shh. So is Finn Balor. Then we get Enzo and Cass coming out to cut a promo. As always, fantastic crowd here. Obviously, they're in England, so the crowd is playing along with their promo, which is exactly what they need. Because when the audience at home sees the audience on TV playing along with the promo, they understand that they're supposed to play along with the promo, and then future crowds are going to play along with the promo, and that makes the whole thing work. And they are going to fight the Dudleys. This is the continuing of the tag team tournament to fight the New Day, and I'll get more into that in a little bit. But Enzo and Cass go over clean on the Dudleys. Match was kind of whatever. Like, I didn't really hate it or like it, but more importantly, they are totally over on the main roster for Enzo and Cass, and good for them. Anyway, our next segment was Roman Reigns coming out to a lot of boos, and if you know anything about the UK crowd, is like, if they're gonna shit all over John Cena even more than we do here in America, they are definitely gonna shit over Roman Reigns more than we do here in America, and they lived up to that. Cannonball missed it. That's gonna happen later on in this show. And so, yeah, they were chanting boring at Roman Reigns. That was great. Smack him in the face there, ref. Yeah, and then out comes AJ Styles. Well, before I get to that, Roman Reigns still hitting his new catchphrase where he's not a good guy, he's not a bad guy, he's the guy. Like, that was good the first night he did it, and now it's just getting really repetitive. Like, I feel like having him build a character where he doesn't give a shit what you think, or what I think, or anyone thinks, that works for him. But having him hit the same, points in his promos on every show is going to work against him. But I did appreciate the part at the end where he's like, it's not about whether or not, what was it? I'd rather be respected with the belt than liked without the belt. And that's not really a heel thing to say, but it does make sense if they're going to go in that direction with his character. However, obviously, at this point, the audience does not respect him, so that point is kind of out the window. Anyway, the important part of this segment is that after AJ Styles leaves, he gets jumped by Gallows and Anderson, and then you kind of get those little, oh, well, are they doing the not Bullet Club? Bullet Club? Is that going to be Styles and Anderson and Gallows, and what's going on? And in retrospect, it makes them attacking the Usos, Roman's boys, last week, make more sense. They're trying to dismantle the Roman Empire. That makes more sense. Anyway, next match on the card was Fandango versus Baron Corbin. We had Dolph Ziggler at ringside. This match kind of was nothing. They threw Fandango over the announce table into Ziggler. There was some stuff here. Baron Corbin won and attacked Ziggler after the match. It's these UK Raws tend to they don't really move too much ahead in the story on like the international tour stuff. Like, there was some things that happened, but for the most part, they're kind of just, kind of repeat what happened last week and kind of just go, yeah, we'll just kind of do that again in a kind of a different format almost and get on to, next week. So, that moves us on to yet another vignette for the depackaging of Primo and Epico, and I don't know if WWE is getting into the tourism business because, like, are they faces? Are they heels? Do I care? That's the biggest question. Like, I just go Owens go. What do you fuck with them? I just don't give a shit. It's just like, it's like, okay, yeah, they're not the Matadors anymore. Okay, now they're what they were before. They were with the Matadors, and now they're just not going to do what I don't fucking know. Anyway, Miz TV with Maurice, and if there's anything that you can thank The Miz for, it is seeing the hotness of Maurice back on TV, so thumbs up on that, Miz. They get the cheapest heat you could get in England by making fun of the royal baby, so that was, amusing. And that brings out Cesaro. And then Miz proceeds to attempt to quote Liam Neeson in Taken and totally botches it pretty hard. And then Cesaro quotes Piper from They Live about chewing bubblegum and kicking ass. And then we learn that he's going to fight Rusev, but not really, because Shane McMahon, being in charge, has changed it up. And now it's going to be, hold on, I gotta get this right. It is The New Day and Cesaro versus the League of Nations and The Miz in an 8-man tag team match, which the faces win. There were some fun spots in here. I enjoyed it a bit. So yes, The New Day and Cesaro go over there. Then we get a backstage segment with Charlotte and Natalya and Ric Flair and Mauro, who is doing the backstage segments because apparently Renee Young has some visa issues. And it's like, you work for the WWE, how do you have visa issues? Like, that's your job to go everywhere. Like, what the hell? But this segment was setting up the fact that we're going to have Bret Hart in the corner of Natalya at Payback when she fights Charlotte for the Women's Championship with Ric Flair in her corner, as she has been doing. And I really hope that commentary, and I'm looking at you, Michael Cole, and Byron Saxton, and JBL, I hope that commentary does not sell this interaction of these four individuals as a new thing, because anyone who watches the product and pays attention knows they did the same exact scenario at the first NXT TakeOver. This already happened. They already had Bret Hart and Ric Flair in the corners of those two ladies. So, don't pretend it didn't happen before. I fucking hate that. Anyway, next match was, and again, I'm going to have to sit here and look very specifically at this paper. It was an 8 Divas thing, just get them on the card, I guess. Natalya, Becky, Paige, and Sasha versus Naomi, Tamina, Summer Rae, and Charlotte. And the big thing in this match was that the faces won because Natalya made Charlotte tap out to the sharpshooter. And then it's like, oh, well, she pinned the women's champion, so that means she has the potential to win a payback. I'm not a fan of the trope of, you know, this person has beat this person in a non-title match before their big match, so that gives them the potential to win that match. Like, that almost never happens. So I don't understand why they keep doing it. Anyway, yeah, the alignments here in terms of, like, should Becky and Paige be getting along? They were Team PCB, but then they weren't, and there were some feuds there, and what's Sasha... Like, it was just an excuse to get them all on the show, because it really didn't go anywhere. Otherwise, it kind of felt like a house show, almost, like, you know, or a SmackDown type deal. Just get them all on the show. But also, where the hell is Lana been? Like, she was in Mania. What the hell happened there? Anyway, she's been kind of... 3 count. So after the 8 Divas stuff, we had this match, which was the Vaudevillains versus the Usos, and this is the Raw debut of the Vaudevillains. And they pick up the win over the Usos to advance in the tag team title tournament, which I did want to talk about just a little bit here, because the finals are happening at Payback. Not the title match, the finals to get the title match. Like, why wouldn't you have the finals on Raw next week? Unless I'm misunderstanding here, but I thought they announced that that the finals of the Vaudevillains versus Enzo and Cass is going to be on Payback, and then the title match afterwards. Doesn't that mean that the title's not going to change hands if they're doing it on like a Raw? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Or are they going to have them win that match and then feud until Extreme Rules versus the New Day? That would make more sense. I'm hoping that's what they do. But I don't actually know, because it seems weird for them to have that at Payback and not have the actual match against the New Day at Payback. But hey, Payback and Extreme Rules are so close together, so, you know, it kind of all I guess, blends together. Anyway, yes, the Vaudevillains win on their Raw debut against the Usos, and the story here made sense that the Usos are still trying to sell the beatdown from Gallows and Anderson last week. That was, you know, a good bit of writing there, and, you know, can make the Vaudevillains look good without making the Usos look, you know, too bad, I guess. Anyway, next match was Heath Slater versus Apollo Crews, and they need to stop putting Apollo Crews in the 3rd hour, because the crowd at that point is just so burned out that they just kind of don't care. And, like, you put him in the 1st hour, you put him, you know, like, at the beginning of the show, and the crowd's going to be a lot more hot and will pop for all of his, you know, very impressive offense there. But yes, he beat Heath Slater and beat up some of the... So, the story here was that the Social Outcasts need a 4th member now that Adam Rose, the Radical Mongoose, is suspended for 60 days. Because of a wellness violation, and so honestly, like, they can keep working that gimmick, but honestly, like, you want to talk about guys who you could put in as a 4th member of the Outcast, you could throw in Damian Sandow, you could throw in Jack Swagger, you could throw in Titus O'Neil coming back from suspension. Like, there are guys you could totally throw in. Hell, you could throw in Fandango as the 4th Outcast. That would fit. Like, you've got guys at that level of the card. Tyler Breeze, you know, there are certainly guys you could throw in that spot. Anyway, your main event, Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens in a hell of a main event spot. Owens with a frog splash from the apron to the outside was fucking amazing, and they did some crazy stuff in this match, and it was pretty awesome. And the ending sequence was pretty good, with Ambrose picking up the win with the Dirty Deeds. And then after the match, being attacked by Chris Jericho with that one-legged codebreaker again, Jericho. And then he stands tall with his dumb scarf to end the show. And there are those that would say that, you know, after having a feud with Triple H and Brock Lesnar, that Chris Jericho is a step down. But honestly, if you work the program properly, if you know, have the good writing and the good promos and the good matches, more importantly, you know, like, it doesn't matter who you're fighting. as long as the crowd is being entertained. As long as the program is entertaining, I'm not going to say it's a step down from the guys that he was fighting. Like, if you make it feel like a main event, then it's going to be a main event. But hey, that remains to be seen. Anyway, I'm Attack Slug. This is my Raw reactions. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. More videos every day. And I'll see you next time, right here on this channel. And I'm out!